to see y'all today. Now move your rear end. I'm watching to see who of you will be great candidates for humor therapy. I'm watching you. Move your butt. Oh no, I mean move it. Oh, that's good. Okay. Give me a big smile. Now move to the music. What is this? You act like it's 8 o'clock in the morning. Oh. I saw the Ellen show once in person and I think I'm Ellen, so I'm sorry. I just have that dream. Anyway, I want to let you know the type of family I came from. I went to see my mother last week. She just turned 90 and yesterday passed her driver test. And my two sisters and I did go driving with her to make sure, before we didn't encourage her, and she's a great driver. She won the Pachanga tournament last summer, $15,000, and beat everybody from, I think they were from 30 years on up. So that's my mom. She brought the money home and then couldn't find it, seriously. And because she didn't want to stop at the bank. So I told her where her hiding places were, and I was throwing the $100 bills in the air. So that's the kind of family I come from. So I came up to visit her last week. She lives in Murrieta Hot Springs, and she had two neighbors outside. And one of her neighbors, George, said, "Oh, you're the doctor." And I said, "Well, I'm not a doctor. I have my doctorate." And George went inside. Then her other neighbor, I just stood there, didn't say a word. The other neighbor said, "So you're the one with the PhD?" And I said, "No, I don't have a PhD. It's a EDD, Doctor of Education." And then they went inside. My mom said, "Come on in." I ruined everything for her. So I have to be, with all of this education, fine children and a good life, I'm still humble, and this just happened last week. So I swear it's, my roadie am I telling the truth? Yeah. Okay. She's paid to do that. Anyway, the first part of the presentation is going to be looking at yourself, looking at your own sense of humor. And humor is not the ability to tell jokes. It's the ability not to take yourself so seriously. And I'm going to provide some activities for you to explore that. And at the same time, you look at what's comfortable for you. Just like many of you as therapists, as you're facilitating groups, you say you do not have to say, you can pass on anything. And also, because we don't have a lot of time, this can be an all-day training. So I'm giving you the best of, the Reader's Digest, the Cliff Notes. And from there, I want you to develop your own activities. So look at them, and when you provide them with your clients, make sure that they're age appropriate. A teenager is just going to laugh out of the room if you start doing knock-knock jokes, unless the teenager is into knock-knock jokes. So just like any other activity, make sure they're age appropriate and that you're at the stage of the therapeutic process that they're open. So that's my disclaimer, and I'll continue on. I'm going to give you extremes, some very benign type of activities to some that you'll go, "I can't believe what she did. I would never do that. Put on a raincoat and no, I never." I was at a state conference with all professors. I had one walk out, and she wrote on her evaluation, because you only remember the one negative one out of 100, and she wrote on, "Inappropriate, this is not Sesame Street." The other ones were rave reviews. I don't remember them. No, the other ones just said what a wonderful way to break down the anxiety, to connect, to build a relationship. And that's what I'm going, they're not all going to fit. Okay, with that, let's get started. Okay, I want to know, and it's going to be somewhat interactive, that you're going to have to talk to the person next to you. Sorry. Okay, let's get this on the road here. That's so you can see my name. It's in lights. Okay. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is talk about, and this is for all ages, what bugs you. Here are bugs. And I have found, and you can pass these down, I have found that using almost lifelike bugs really helps with talking about what bugs you. So right now, while they're teaching me how to use a PowerPoint that I've done for 20 years, you're going to tell the person next to you what really bugs you. What bugs you? Just raise your hand. I need three volunteers. One, what bugs you? Yes. When they're bigoted. That's a big one, and then opens up for discussion. Another bug.
I'll tell you my
Yes.
When I see clients and they come to me and they believe that I am their miracle that could cure all their problems.
Yes. How many agree with that one? Okay. One more bug, thank you. Oh, yes. Dumb drivers, yeah. Hostile, or you're ready to put your foot on the gas and the horn already went off. And I want to have a whole discussion about it if they do that, but I don't. Okay, so are you pulling my leg? We'll try and go to the next one. Begin with a smile. Now, I want you to really believe me that these pins are clean. And what I want you to do, I need some volunteers, is I'm going to take one, and then you get to keep the pin. And it says, Dr. Susan says, no grown-ups allowed. Okay? You're going to put the pen in your mouth, and I want you to have a conversation with the person next to you. Okay? So, volunteers, you get that caffeine going. Come, I don't want to touch it because then you'll think, oh, the cold, it was from when Susan touched it. Okay, thank you. Let yourself enjoy life. Now, I want you to, do you mind just standing up and saying, how was your day?
How was your day?
And
How was your day? Oh, I don't know yet. It just started. I have to get up to this, you know.
Great example. Thank you. Let's give them a hand. I know it seems very simple, but it actually is, and everyone actually does get a pen, even though I'm very disappointed that
No, just kidding.
I'm just disappointed that we all wouldn't put a pen in your mouth at 8:30 in the morning, but it's okay. It's a simple way to start a conversation. If you're working with a young child and they don't want to, they're just sitting there, I know some of you are thinking, oh good, we're going to teach them bad habits and they're going to do it all the time. I know, I read minds too. But what I do in the therapeutic process is I weigh what's better. If I'm going to worry about a certain type of behavior, or am I going to let the child relax and be themselves? I worked, I think, 9 years at Cedar House. And those of you for the child know it's the baby. And I was the children's program coordinator. And I did everything possible to really facilitate humor and fun with the children I worked with. And these worked. And they didn't turn out to be, horrible people or anything. So leave your ego at the door. For me to put on a presentation like this with such serious people and the serious business you're in, I had to leave it outside because this isn't for everybody. So I want you to leave your ego at the door. Don't take yourself so seriously. Let's laugh for no reason. Ha 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 hee ha ha. Oh. And you've read about that. You read about that you're stirring up all those hormones, even though what you're laughing at isn't exactly hysterical. But once you start training yourself to laugh, I went into a laughter yogurt class. See what I'm thinking about? Into a laughter yoga class, and it wasn't for me. They breathe and ha ha hee hee ha ha. I just thought, I want to hear jokes. I want to see something that's really funny. And so that wasn't for me. But when I begin the process, that's a good place to start. Okay, I want you to become an overnight optimist. And that means taking a complaining fast. So many of you have you ever gone on diets before? Anyone? No. Okay. This is more difficult than a diet. So right now, I want you to begin your complaining fast, and you have to really stay with the fast until 9:30. You can't complain about anything. Your hair, your job, your husband, your wife, nothing. And all the thoughts that you're thinking about have to be positive. So we're going to do that. In order to facilitate humor, you have to let go of what you're complaining about. And it's not easy. So, overnight optimist. And you have to laugh at yourself. It's okay. It's okay to think what some of the things you do is funny. The other morning, this reminds me, I woke up on Sunday morning and reading the Sunday paper with my best pal, and I went, oh my God, oh, look at this. And I was asked, what? End to world hunger? Cure for cancer? And I said, no. Half price off of Yogurtland. And it just made me laugh. What was, with all of this that's going on in the world, that made me happy. I'm serious. Okay, so you have to also, we're in the healing part of ourselves, is you have to think, each one of you, when someone comes up to you, what are they thinking? Hands? Can I have my roadie come up here, please? Wrap this around. Is this the kind of person you are that they don't want to talk to you because you're going to complain? Oh, this job, this person, this hair day. I never know how my hair is going to come out at all. I don't know what I'm going to look like in the morning, but I still don't want to be the kind of person that people avoid. And so I've actually have done this with clients and demonstrate the kind of person I don't like. Oh, there's Dr. Susan. I'm going to hide. Because I remember once hiding at Target from a client. I don't know if you've ever done that. I got down and I said, they'll go, because I didn't want to deal. Okay? I'm paying you big bucks and you're sitting there. Okay. Okay. So, oh my gosh, I broke my fast. No wonder I'm gaining weight. Okay. Or do you want to be love? When someone walks away from you, they say, oh, I just talked with Jean and I feel so good, so much better than when I first walked up to her. She just supports me and asks questions and cares about my life and doesn't criticize me, I feel love when I walk away. So I give choices. What kind of person do you want to be? This is laughter therapy. Okay. Humor is the ultimate expression for being positive. When two people are laughing, there's no fighting going on. Well, yes, you can give me examples of that, but when you're really enjoying a good laugh, you're not angry. I have found it helps build rapport. In the last few years, I've lost a little bit of weight. I don't think you remember, pretty big woman I was, okay? And I went to a support group, and no one would talk to me. After I went, and they were all in a room, and I'd smile, and everyone was into their own thing, their weight loss and their food, and I wanted to make some friends, and no one really, they ignored me. And I just thought, okay, well, this is a stiff group. And I walked into the elevator. The elevator was opening, and it was ready to close. And I go, hold on, can you take another 200 pounds? And they looked, and they all started laughing. And the next, you don't have to use that joke. It's not a great one. You'd have to be there. It loses a lot in translation. But all I'm saying is the following week, they recognized me. They said hello. No, I mean, I wasn't there to make friends, but you know, we're all in this together. It gives us a different perspective. It's a marvelous vehicle to happiness, and it actually promotes playfulness. So, cognitive tool to facilitate emotional, cognitive, behavioral, and physiological well-being. And I know that's a mouthful, but I have found in every area, if I'm working with someone with physical activities, with whatever limitation they may have, humor helps us get there. Okay, discover what makes you laugh. I brought some books, not that these are the best, but I love to go to secondhand bookstores. And at our condo, we have a library where when someone's done with a magazine or a book, they just put it down and we share. So over the years, I read a lot of books about being rude, like Return to Civility and Getting Fired and Rude, Overcoming Civility Crisis in the Workplace, because they make me laugh. They give situations that are so extreme, I think, you know, I look at the opposite in order to develop some of my humor tools. I do have a lot of these, civility, solution, but then, like I found this for $1 and it just keeps me laughing, bloopers, blunders, jokes, and quotes. And I'll find that, and then I never read them without a post-it pad, and I just post the ones that I think would be appropriate for what age. I lead a happiness and humor class. Once a month I volunteer at the senior center. And so I write down if they're appropriate for that group. And if there's a teenage group, I've volunteered with the probation department, and working with some of the probation officers, that's a different group. Who's in probation here? I say no more. Okay. Anyway, jokes to go. Don't get mad, get funny. We'll get to that later. Okay. Sing loudly. When you're in the car and there's a song that comes on, and make sure your children are not in the car because they don't really like it. I found that out from my 2 sons when they were in middle school, and I would start singing, and at the same time, in harmony, they'd go, Mom, Mom, you know, and I'd stop right then. But it really helps you loosen up.
Can I sing on the bus?
Yes, you can. And people will move away. You won't have to worry about anyone sitting near you. I keep a journal of humorous moments. I would not have remembered that incident with my mom the other day if I didn't write it down. And I'm not saying because I'm 58 I forget everything, but I forget more than I did at 48. Let's just say that. And you've heard about comedians or journalists, writers, just keep a notepad near their bed. My thoughts and funny occurrences come to me when I'm driving, so I pull over and I just write down what makes me laugh. Like my mom said, I want to give you something, I want to give you something. And I thought, maybe one of those $100 bills from her 15,000. And she says, I have an extra handicap placard. And I said, Mom, no, I don't use those. Thank you. But she was so proud that she got 2 by mistake. She didn't know who she was going to the highest bidder. And I said, Mom, you don't need that. And, we got into another discussion, ethics. When something funny happens, notice. It's funny. Things are happening that are funny all the time. In the grocery store, for all the times we complain, and those of you in social services, and both my sisters are LCSWs, and they give me some stories, some sad stories. But there's also some really fun stories, and it helps us, those dark times to laugh. Collect props, okay? What would you do if I started a session like this? Now, I have a disclaimer about young children and being frightened by masks and clowns. You really have to know the person, or, like I did, I'll say, look at this. This is going to make me look funny. Should I put it on? And so you work into it. And it is a little bit borrowing from the principle of play therapy, but not quite. Okay, I said you're not going to complain, so just the thing is, newsflash. Abandoned tantrum, physical comedy followed. Woohoo! Example, this is my nephew. Thanksgiving. He got tired of all the adults. He did come 17 years after my sister's last child. Surprise! And so he's with a bunch of adults, and he was starting to get whiny, and he was ready to have a tantrum. I said, hold on, I've got something in my trunk. Come down with me. So we ran down and we opened up the trunk, and I had one of my props in a bag. And I go, let's scare people. The next half hour, woo, who is it? We're scared. Talk, talk, talk. Woo, and I'll tell you, I just used what I taught parenting classes for many years. What I talked about, sometimes it's okay to distract. You don't have to always talk a child out of a tantrum. You don't always use timeout. And I found it was real effective raising my 2 young sons. So here we go. So we had a picture of it. I just thought you would enjoy that. Patch Adams, most of you have seen the movie. Pain can be tolerated when one laughs. Here's the nose for you, hospital. During a procedure, I was asked to come to a hospital when a little girl was having 100 seizures a day, and she was at UCLA for experimental surgery. And I came in there, and wigs and hats, and we walked around and had the best time. And she was showing me off to all the other patients, and I'll tell you, it works. It really works. I think half of it is the attitude, and the other half is to offer the unexpected. You don't expect that. Okay, we're going to exaggerate funny sounds. What's a funny sound? What are they in jeopardy when you get something wrong? Ah. Okay, you're going to have to do it. I'm sorry. Ah. Now do it an octave higher. Ah. Now do it to the right. Ah. Do it to the left. Ah. Ba 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 ba. Simon didn't say to do that. But you can continue on just with funny sounds. And you're getting to the kids. This is my favorite one. Let's talk, but first let me. Now when I go, you go up. How simple is that? You know, if you've been to my other presentations, I always use kazoos. Oh, this is hard work being up here, let me tell you. Wigs, after Halloween, I go to the 80% table and I just grab multicolor wigs, big wigs. And I work here in this room on Wednesdays with senior citizens, and we were going to have a Broadway singer or a singer sing Broadway songs. And I had a costume, an old glitter gown, and a white wig. I did not stuff the front of it because I thought it was inappropriate. I didn't want any undue comments. But I just walked in for the whole hour in my getup. And some of the seniors, especially those that come here from residential homes, and they were smiling, they were talking. So first they reacted to me, and that gave them enough energy to turn to the person who they've never acknowledged next to them. I watched the entire group dynamics just by me walking around looking silly. And it takes that, and you'll see there's one coming up here. This is Aristotle trying her best to lighten the lecture on philosophy. Has anyone seen this woman? That's me in a philosophy class, and I gave a lecture on leisure, yes, and Aristotle's philosophical view on that. And I engaged them into a dynamic discussion. I've come in when students are very, very anxious in a gorilla suit. This is what I did at the state conference, and the one person walked out. And I didn't acknowledge that I was in a gorilla suit. They were very anxious. It was a research course. And I said, we're going to review for the final today, all in a whole full gorilla suit. I found a secondhand store for $10. And you saw them laughing, and they didn't know what to think. And I was soaking wet because it's hot, but I went through and reviewed for the whole test. I see students 5 years that I had 5 years ago, 10 years ago, that will never forget that. What they remember is they had a professor that was able to take a risk. Not that I was silly and dumb and put on just to get attention so that they would learn, but that I took a risk because I cared about their learning. No, I'm not saying that you need to take a risk all the time so behavior will change, so people will improve their mood. But to do something that's a little out of the ordinary. So I was very happy to find this. So I want you to live your life as a dog, okay? Let's do it. 6 a.m. at last! I walk outside, my favorite thing! I ride in the car, my favorite thing! 8 o'clock, a walk in the park, my favorite thing! A drink of water, my favorite thing! Run around the backyard, barking, my favorite thing! If we can all become dogs, we'd look at life in such a different way. Don't you see that? Like you've just yelled at your dog for eating the cat's food, and then all of a sudden you go, come here, we're going outside, and they're just wagging their tail like, wow, no wonder man, woman's best friend. So I think that's a very good, oh, good. You got it?
I'm attempting to get this.
Okay, well, I'll continue here. Books really, I think, are a lot of fun. Peter Reynolds makes a wonderful series of books. This is The Dot, and it's about a little girl who wasn't able to draw in art class, something like that, and they have another book called Ish. Anyone know this series? And Ish is about their painting looked a little ish, flower-ish, or it looked like something ish. And I love to use books when I'm working with children, not to just read to them, but to engage them. This one I hesitated because it's not for every therapeutic session. Walter the Farting Dog. You've heard of it, okay. It's only for certain children, okay. At this time in our program, I'll have to do a song that I did for a group of gangs that were in treatment, so they had to be nice. I wasn't out in the streets doing this, and I need assistance. Now, how many of you would do that? Okay, good. Well, I'll tell you, it was okay that they thought I was a little, but it really helped. It really helped relationship. I did that with a group that I was.
Susan, just press.
There I am. Yeah. I wanted to prove to you I actually do it, so. Okay, don't use it as the sole intervention. Do ask yourself, why am I using humor at this moment? How will this be beneficial to my client? Don't use sarcasm, embarrassment, or teasing, even if you think it's funny. We have a day camp here, and I see some of the counselors, and they're wonderful. They get terrific training. But once in a while, I will hear sarcasm, and I'll look down at the child, and they look, they don't get it. And you notice that, and I'll talk with, in just a real one-to-one kind of thing with the counselor, and just talk about sarcasm. And I've heard my friends, my peers, grandparents use sarcasm, and it's just not great. And we use it sometimes as, you know, we can make fun of ourselves, but when you turn around and make fun of other people, I just don't think it's great, or to embarrass or point out something. How many ears did Davy Crockett have? 3. His left ear, his right ear, and the front ear. Okay. Knock, knock. Who's there? Ash. Bless you. See? Okay. made funny voices, knock knock jokes, and be careful about clowning. Sometimes, you know, I know at some of the early childhood programs don't allow it, especially, you know, during the holidays, Halloween, because clowns represent something very, very scary. So clowning is used a lot. Patch Adams uses, and I use elements of clowning, like the nose, or sometimes I'll put on a funny suit and lead the groups. But I've led, you know, count the years. I've led hundreds of groups, and it's worked, and it's worked breaking down barriers. Okay, repeat words. I'm giving you all different types of interventions. Repeat words in a creative pattern. Like, let's say a name like Philip. See a friend of mine, Philip. Philip, 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 Dillip, Willip, Willip, Philip. And we go back and forth, and we're not even talking about Philip's serious problems, but we're just playing with his name. We're not making fun of it. And then I ask him, you know, Susan, Susan, Dr. Suze, you know, and we go back and forth, and whatever creative pattern works. Okay, bend it like letter B. I need my body, excuse me. So if you said, whoa, if I said, bend it like, what was it, Beckham? So let's bend it like B. Let's bend it like C, D. And so we've gotten them up, and they've used this with children that have balancing problems. We've used it with children that have, well, yes, but I'm thinking specifically with, well, all of these, you're all right, but I was thinking impulse control. Yeah, there we go. I laughed last night. I saw a film of Paula Poundstone doing, she goes, and I see I'm here in New York, and they have these girly shows that have continuous entertainment. I could just see all night going like this, continuous entertainment. I know, sorry. Okay, so you bend it like the different letters. Okay, grin. I love this one. I have a grin, and I'm gonna take it off, and I'm gonna throw it to Judy. And she's gonna take her grin, take it off, and throw it to you. And you're gonna take it off and throw it to? Yes, okay, you get it? Grin, it's great. Okay. Push your hands on the wall, This is a wonderful, I use it as a tantrum intervention. Oh, this one won't stop crying and yelling. So, oh, we have a problem. Can you hold up the wall for me? Oh, I gotta hold up the wall. Thank you, hold it up. Oh, can I get somebody else to hold up the wall? We need help holding up the wall. Hold up the wall, and then whatever song you want to sing it to, it helps preventing a meltdown. I want to leave some time for questions, so let's move on. Oh, funny voices, silly dances. So you can put on any music you want and just move. You don't have to, and we borrow this from dance therapy. What recreation therapy does is borrow from the different disciplines. Music, dance. And so when we want children to relate to each other, before we just say, get along, share, we share space. And we dance and we're silly, and you know, I still love Raffi and all the songs. And I just recently heard Ella Jenkins on NPR, and it just brought back memories of her fun time. Teens. We already did what bugs me. They love that. And they will tell you in, what's that, a New York Minute? What bugs them. So teens are good. Teens are good for the bug exercise. Balloon juggle. Okay. Can I get a couple people up here? Oh, Philip, come on up. Hi, Philip Willett.
Hi.
Great guy.
Hi.
Okay, I was working with ChildNet, and I had a bunch of balloons in the room. And this guy about 6'11" walked by. What are you guys doing? Having a party? And all I had was balloons. And I said, come on in. I gave him one balloon. I said, I want to see if you can keep that in the air. What are you kidding me? Just put it in the air. And now I'm going to give you another one. We'll see if you can keep two in the air at the same time. Pretty soon, the word got out, and there was more and more and more kids, teens. Thank you, Philip. You've shown how athletic you are. Thank you. Let's give them a big hand. Pretty soon, they were coming from all over. Hey, I can do 3. I can do 5. What a difference from competing. And I found that helpful because many of the boys at the youth home, they weren't good at basketball. And they weren't good at other physical activities, but just balancing that. And I noticed someone was here from Florence Crittenton. When I was very pregnant, I worked with pregnant teens, and it was a lot of fun that many of them just wanted to sit down and not do anything. And I said, let's get some exercise. And they would start to say, and I go, and we'd sit up and we would just do balloon games and do balloon volleyball, and there's all kinds of activities because you want them to really reach out and not be so defensive about themselves or defended. Okay, mirror silly. Oh, what song am I? Can you please turn to the person next to you and tell them the song they remind you of? I'll give you 1 minute. Can I have some volunteers? Mary Poppins. Anyone else? Anyone else? What are some other songs?
No, it's actually The Sound of Music.
Oh, The Sound of Music? Oh, favorite things. I like that. Anybody else?
Oh, well.
So we've done that. We've gone around the circle. Mirror silly is I match them up with partners, and they need to make the same faces at the partner. We have a leader and a follower, and they absolutely love it. And I say, make the silliest, and you know many of these you've done, I'm sure. Make the silliest, the scariest, the fearful, but they like on the silly side, the funny side. And then I'll make a funny face. Now you copy me? Oh, perfect. Oh, that's scary. Okay. Now I want you to think of the most hilarious present you can give someone that's appropriate. Because, you know, the kindergarten jokes and all of that. What is the most hilarious present you can give somebody? Can you tell the person next to you? Anything else? Any other suggestions? Toilet paper. Okay. Love it. Do I have any from back there? What's the most hilarious present? Yes.
I got a little block. That's it, walk around the block, or I walked around the block for my kids.
Oh.
This is get me to do exercise.
Oh, walk around the block. Excellent. And you did the exercise. Yes, I love that, walk around the block. Life 101 is, what is funnier, a blank or a blank? So you fill in the blanks. I know this is the most difficult one. We have to think on this one. What's funnier, a head of lettuce that have an eyes, nose, and ear on it, or a yellow lizard? So we go back and forth, and the teens get creative with it. Okay, it wasn't your favorite one, but we'll try something else. Start every day with a smile and get over it. That's W.C. Fields. I just thought he's the oldest, and so he needed some recognition. That was my happiest day when the good son graduated in my department. The other son's in business. He'll be rich and he and I will be poor, and he's in recreation, and I was able to walk with him at his own graduation because he was in my department at Cal State Long Beach. I'm going to leave the last few minutes for questions, and I will throw it out to you. And anything. Yes, sir.
I'll just share something I've been thinking the whole time this morning. You know how people send you stuff on Facebook and everything, you go, no, Nick. And I opened this up, and it was something that they'd gotten from YouTube, and it was a little baby, probably under a year old. And all the father was doing was ripping a piece of paper. And the kid laughed hysterically every time. It lasted like 4 or 5 minutes. I was in tears at the end. I was laughing so hard. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. So.
The laughter.
Shredded paper baby or something. I'm fine.
He's tearing a letter up that the father had gotten rejection of a job.
A rejection of a job, but he's tearing it up, and we see what's important. Yes.
I have a question. How do you transition? I think it's a great way, all these ideas to sort of set the mood and relax the tension. Do you have some ideas about then how you transition to the issues that you really want to talk about?
Just like we did just now. I was a complete fool, and then I turned to them, and they trust. I have already built trust and rapport. I remember I heard, speaking of Facebook, from one of my clients at Cedar House, who's now a mom, and she remembers that I used to start the group with girls just want to have fun. I'd have the music on. It was on one day. I didn't like set it up, kind of thing. It was on, and I sang, and the girls in the group just started singing with me. And she remembers that I was playful. And then we went and we wrote letters to, our parents, that kind of thing. So you just slowly go into that. Yes?
Yeah, I'd just like to add a lot in therapy. And one of the things, subtle things I found is if what you're saying is within your own comfort zone, somehow your client's going to know that. And so that makes the transition almost automatic because they're kind of on your level already. So I don't think you need to really manufacture anything other than make sure that whatever you're doing, you're comfortable with it. Then you can get away with almost anything, I think.
Thank you. I couldn't have said it better. Anyone else? Anyone have any positive? Yes.
Sort of. Okay. You're talking about sarcasm, and it is, I think, I just really appreciate what you said, because someone told me once that sarcasm comes from the Greek, and it means to tear flesh. Oh. And I think when you think about that, it really, particularly with kids, we just don't get it. It's just an important, it's been helpful to me to remember that.
That's very good. Yes.
Tear flesh.
To tear flesh. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
So if you think about it.
I just said to stop.
A little bit louder.
step out to stop me if I'm repeating a question, but I think it's great. I love it. But for those that are shy or socially awkward, how do you do it? Like, does it come off weird or off?
Well, you begin with and that's why I had a few of the exercises, singing in the car. And usually when you're building rapport, you'll feel more comfortable with a client, or if you're leading working with a group of children, you'll feel comfortable the more you know them, just like in real life. And that you practice some of, just like the wall, practice singing a song, holding up the wall. If you don't feel comfortable, by all means, don't do it. I think it's a great intervention. And I think with my clients and participants I've used this with over the years, I've just found some that are very good, that work, and some that work some of the time. And so you'll find as you gain more experience in your career, what you'll feel comfortable with and what gets you really good results. So, and you just have to practice. I'm helping the bad son that's in business. I should say this with this group. I never hit my kid. He's in a big company, graduated last May, and he's been going to mixers, and he asked him to be in a golf tournament. And I gave him conversation starters. I helped him with that. He's great with his friends, and he said, and I said, and don't pull out your phone and start texting whenever you're with, anyone in your company. But I gave him some, because it was really hard for him, because many of them, they just talk about, this might be taped. A lot of them, they'll talk about families and how to see, but I've given him some, so he's practicing that. Okay. Any other kids? Yes.
Sort of a little bit different. I belong to a club where we have monthly meetings, and the president calls the meeting to order. Nobody pays any attention. So she says, if you don't quiet down, I will sing. And they don't quiet down, and she sings. The room becomes quiet, and she has their full attention.
That's absolutely wonderful. That's a wonderful technique. If you didn't hear the facilitator of a meeting could not get the group to be quiet and said, if you're not quiet, I'll sing. And they kept talking, and she started singing, and probably not too well. And
Not bad, actually.
Not bad, but they all stopped to listen. That's a wonderful tool. With children, it's an amazing tool, because they really don't want to hear you sing.
When you gave the example about with the games, with the baby the rainbow's fall, what did you transition to something after that? Mm-hmm. So what did you transition to?
I put that, I didn't just in the middle of the group get up, but I did say, I'm going to put on a little skit for you that I think is fun, and then I'm going to give you a song, and then you can dramatize it however you want, an appropriate song. So I compartmentalize, I put it just in a framework, and then when that was over and they laughed and then we sat down, I talked about the risks it took, that some people think, I'm too silly, and I even shared someone made fun of me when I did it and it felt bad. So through that, I brought up lots of issues, and that's how I transitioned. Anyone? And I did. I thought twice about doing that, and I said, what the heck? What am I going to lose? Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
There's a lot of discussion about the kind of services you provide, getting paid, insurance to pay and things like that. Evidence-based research, evidence-based intervention, very appropriate. So can you kind of tie in the work that you're doing with this idea of evidence-based practice and how we can make it?
Absolutely. We're learning more and more the healing benefits of humor. And there is a lot of research to back it up. And specific studies that will let you know how it has worked. It's an amazing treatment. Recently, the federal government just gave money to physicians, and this is very gray, not gray, but it's very new, so I don't have all the facts, for their patients to take a walk in the park. They're prescribing it. Not just, you need to get out more, but there's an actual benefit that the physicians are receiving for prescribing exercise and getting out in the park and that kind of thing. I got that through I'm in a National Recreation and Park Association, and they're talking about that. So you can back up the happiness benefits by a lot of research. Just, if you're not academics, go on Google Scholar, and you will find a ton of research. Just, using the keywords. And I wrote a little article that you could find on, it's with older adults, but I think my study was very good. My results matched an international study that I didn't even know was occurring, and our results matched. They had like $10 billion, and I had 75 cents, So our results were the same. Well, thank you very, very much. This was a pleasure being with you all today. Oh, don't stand up. It's okay. You don't have to stand up. Really.